I cry at sappy commercials. Everything good in my life has come from country music. And I'm not a video game guy, so I don't know it, but I've heard that quite a bit.
Tim McGraw, can I just say, mate, I had a long day yesterday. Didn't finish work till like very, very late, and I knew I needed to like crack out an episode of 1883 to prepare for this beforehand. Put it on at about 11 o'clock, think I'll go through one of these, catch some sleep, get up, write some questions. And I binged out like 3.5 episods before my brain started to melt. It was so good. It was like right up my street. You must be really, really kind of relieved and delighted to see something like that. That must have meant so much to you to make come out so well.
Yeah, I mean, we're really proud of it. I mean, there was a lot of work. I mean, I think 400 cast and crew on this thing, and we were doing 6 days a week, 12 to 14 hours a day, and it was out in the elements, and it was physical every single day. But it was so well written. I mean, Taylor Sheridan is such a brilliant writer, and that's honestly what drew Faith and I to want to do this together. We never acted together, so to pick a project to do together for the very first time, it had to be something really special, and it blew us away.
I've got to say, like, why is it taken so long to do something like this? I mean, I was reminded when I was doing my research for this of how good you were in like Friday Night Lights way back when. And I know you've kind of dipped in and out and done a few appearances here and there and a few different films and stuff, but it does make me wonder, like, you're so good in this show, and I'm not just kind of blowing smoke, you're really, really good in it, like perfectly cast for this show. Why it's taken so long to kind of be able to commit to something like this? Has it just been a time thing, or has it just not been the right opportunity you felt right about to kind of to jump into?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of both of those things. I mean, there's always scripts and stuff that come my way, and it's typically timing. It's either shooting at a time where I'm in the middle of a tour or in the middle of an album, or maybe it's not the right material, or maybe I'm not the guy that they want. So all these factors have to come together in order for me to be able to do something. And but first and foremost, it's got to be driven by the material. I mean, it's just the same way as putting an album together. Whether I'm writing the material or listening to the outside material from other songwriters, the material has to be there. I mean, if you let the material slip just a bit, it's not going to work out. The material has to be there. I mean, look, there's plenty of great actors, there's plenty of great singers, but there's not that many great songs and there's not that many great scripts. So finding the right project is really key. And for me and Faith as well, because of our other lives, and we have 3 kids, and they're grown now, but we're still very involved in our lives, and we're parents first. So finding the time and finding the material and putting all those pieces together is really kind of an art in itself. So all those things have to work for us.
Well, I think that a lot of them have worked out in this case, and I hope to see a lot more of you guys doing stuff in the future. Now that you've got the time and now that you've found a project that has worked so well, I hope it inspires you both to do a lot more stuff on camera. Let's talk about the genre a little bit. It's no secret, as you can tell, that I'm a fan. From, I don't know, Magnificent Seven to Quick and the Dead and
all the Eastwood movies as well, yeah.
Of course. So what were your go-tos? I mean, was doing a Western like always on the bucket list for you at some point?
Well, I've always wanted to do a Western. I'm a huge Western fan. Outlaw Josie Wells is probably my favorite movie ever. And, one of my top 10 movies. So when we decided we were going to do this, I went back and watched all the Eastwood movies, and then I went back and watched Lonesome Dove, which is one of my favorite series ever as well. So, you just go back and research everything and watch all the stuff that you love. And then as I'm watching these things, I'm reading the script at the same time and studying the script. It's, in my mind, I'm thinking as a kid, because I grew up riding horses. I grew up in Louisiana. I rode high school rodeo. I rode bulls and bareback riding and was a roper. So it was part of my life growing up. So reading the scripts, watching all these movies, and sort of doing my research, I constantly, and being able to do this with my wife, I constantly kept pinching myself, thinking, I can't believe that I'm actually able to do this. And then I always came back in my head saying thank God for country music, because without country music and my career in country music and my growing up listening to country music, none of this would have happened. I mean, everything good in my life, including meeting my wife, everything good in my life has come from country music. And that's why I'm talking to you here today. That's why I had the opportunity to do the movies I've done, the opportunity to meet my wife, the opportunity to do the show and do it with my wife, all came from country music.
Knowing both of your backgrounds, as I go through each episode, I'm like, there's a small part of me like waiting for you to break out in song. It's not happened yet, and you don't need to tell me if it does, but I'm gonna keep watching to the end to find out. It sounds very millennial of me, but it reminded me of like Red Dead Redemption, you know, the video game series.
Yeah, I've heard that before. I don't know that. I don't know the series. I mean, I'm not a video game guy, so I don't know it, but I've heard that quite a bit, that's what this reminded everybody of. Maybe we need to make a movie of that video game.
Oh man, someone's gonna make a movie of that at some point. And your characters, James Dutton is very similar to the lead character in the last game.
Okay.
So I'd put a word into your agent and maybe like have a chat about that. Let's talk about acting with your wife briefly. Like the pressure to kind of, you've been married for so long, you've sold between each other like what 130 million records and things like that. There's going to be quite a big expectation when you do a project like this together. Was it kind of nerve-wracking knowing you were going to commit to such a huge undertaking? And was it, were you kind of a crutch for each other to be able to get through the process?
Well, we knew we were going to lean on each other for sure, because, you know, we're partners in every way. And you know, Faith and I, this will be 26 years we've been married this year. So we completely lean on each other and trust each other completely in our judgment. But we, to your point, we knew that there were a couple of bars that we were going to have to reach. You know, anytime, and throughout my career in the movies that I've done and the couple movies that Faith's done, anytime a musician does a movie, everybody always gives you sort of a sideways glance, you know, like, they're not going to be able to pull it off. Or if you do, you have to be almost better than you would have had to been if you were just an actor. You almost have to be a little bit better even to prove it. And we also knew that going into this film or this project that what we didn't want was for every time everybody looked at the screen, all they saw was Tim and Faith. Because of our personas and being in the music business for 30 years and the success that we've had, we knew that it was going to be we had to sort of cross that bridge and sort of jump the Rubicon there in order for people not to see Tim and Faith. And so part of our plan in doing that was we never rehearsed our lines together. We never went over scenes together. And in fact, the first time that James and Margaret actually met in costume, we were rolling cameras.
Yeah, she did.
So
she said that. She also said you guys would like read the scripts when you first got them, and then it got to like episode 10, and she did mention you did bawl your eyes out whilst
Oh, I couldn't read it. I couldn't read 9 or 10. She had to read both of them because we would read the entire script each other. We would do our parts. We'd just read the entire script. We got to 9 and 10 because, you know, I cry at sappy commercials. I'm Irish and Italian, so I'm either fighting or crying, one or the other. But yeah, I couldn't read them. I fell apart just starting, so she had to read the scripts. And that was the toughest part for me, playing James as a character, because James was so stoic and so strong. There were plenty of times where I had to really fight back emotion because I wanted to cry, and Taylor would say, "You can't cry. James can't cry." There's 2 times James cries in this script, and you see them when you watch it. There's 2 times that James loses it, and otherwise he just has to be very stoic and very, very strong.
Well, I look forward to reaching the kind of latter episodes and seeing what we're talking about there. See if I can get through it without crying.
No, you won't.
Yeah, fingers crossed. It's always nice to feel something, isn't it?
Yes.